On the Trail of Grant and Lee by Frederick Trevor Hill. Originally published in 1911 and now in the public domain. This audiobook production, narrated by William Dupuy, is copyrighted 2020 by William Dupuy. Chapter 1. 3 Civil Wars. England was an uncomfortable place to live in during the reign of Charles I. Almost from the moment that ill-fated monarch ascended the throne, he began quarreling with Parliament, and when he decided to dismiss its members and make himself the supreme ruler of the land, he practically forced his subjects into a revolution. 12 feverish years followed, years of discontent, indignation, and passion, which arrayed the Cavaliers, who supported the king, against the Roundheads, who upheld Parliament, and finally flung them at each other's throats to drench the soil of England with their blood. Meanwhile, the gathering storm of civil war caused many a resident of the British Isles to seek peace and security across the seas, and among those who turned toward America were Matthew Grant and Richard Lee. It is not probable that either of these men had ever heard of the other, for they came from widely separated parts of the kingdom and were even more effectually divided by the walls of caste. There is no positive proof that Matthew Grant, whose people probably came from Scotland, was a Roundhead, but he was a man of humble origin who would naturally have favored the parliamentary or popular party, while Richard Lee, whose ancestors had fought at Hastings and in the Crusades, is known to have been an ardent Cavalier, devoted to the king. But whether their opinions on politics differed or agreed, it was apparently the conflict between the king and Parliament that drove them from England. In any event, they arrived in America at almost the same moment, Grant reaching Massachusetts in 1630, the year after King Charles dismissed his Parliament, and Lee visiting Virginia about this time to prepare for his permanent residence in the Dominion, which began when actual hostilities opened in the motherland. The trails of Grant and Lee, therefore, first approach each other from out of the smoke of a civil war. This is a strangely significant fact, but it might be regarded merely as a curious coincidence were it not for the other and stranger events which seem to suggest that the hand of fate was guiding the destinies of these two men. Matthew Grant originally settled in Massachusetts, but he soon moved to Connecticut, where he became clerk of the town of Windsor and official surveyor of the whole colony, a position which he held for many years. Meanwhile, Richard Lee became the colonial secretary and a member of the king's...
Sample complete. Ready to continue?